Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Last time Kinji talked to us a lot, and we learned stuff about Lily, but we already knew those stuffs for the most part because we did the Hanako route. So we are gonna keep on playing and keep on playing. Bored of standing in place and watching the television in a shop window, I pull myself away from the tacky display with a little effort. After living in Yamaku, the city seems like an entirely different world. No running in the halls, calm and orderly conduct is to be used at all times in the classrooms. Students are to exit rooms after checking both directions for oncomers. Elevators are reserved for movement-impaired students. Single file on stairs. Compared to such strict, almost regimental standards, the city's shopping arcade might as well be a strange country. While the school may have its fair share of hustle and bustle, during the festival the outside world is much different. It's strange. Having lived in a metropolitan city before my accident, this should feel more natural than Yamaku and the surrounding town ever could. Yet it feels so foreign, somehow. The elevated walkways and tall buildings, each adorned with billboards taller than all three people, don't do anything to distract me from the passing crowd's reactions. Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, the other holding her cane which taps the ground with a metronome-like steadiness. Looking over to her, the neutral smile on hers still holds. Having only seen her in school uniform, I'd not have recognized her as she sat on the bench waiting for me to come, if not for her cane propped up against it and her distinctive hair. I can't tell whether they're glancing at her due to her height, her foreign looks, her obvious blindness, or all three. Not that any of those would make the situation any less comfortable than it is. Do you have any idea of where to look first, Hisao? Her soft voice breaks me out of my line of thought. I can't imagine that she's failing to notice the attention she garners. But she seems unfazed by it. I mean, she's probably just used to it. I get the feeling she's the type to enjoy walking outside, so she might be used to it by now. Not really. This is my first time in the city, so I've got no idea of where to go. She furrows her brow in thought, planning a route for us to take, and, come to think of it, a way to communicate it. Something I'd noticed in time I've been with her is how, when in deep thought, she lacks close to any form of body language to show it. Her expression may change, but not a hint of movement shows. She seems to have little in the way of sweeping physical gestures in general, though, so I've assumed it's part of her reserved nature. Is there a large electronics store near here? I take a quick look around, mostly finding clothing stores. After a few seconds, I notice a store with a bright blue sign some distance away that fits her description. Yep, it's just a bit ahead of us. Should we go in that direction? Thankfully, it's just the information she needed. With a nod, we start off and head towards Lily's unknown destination. Landmarks being our guide. Are we at a subway? Where are we? What is this? Wait, is this ice cream? Maybe if I would just read instead of trying to pick apart the picture first, I would have these questions answered. And yet here I am. Here you go, 1 vanilla, 1 chocolate. I hand the money over the counter and take the cones to the railing that Lily is sitting on. I can't believe I let her trick me like this. She not only led me to an ice cream stall, but also got me to buy her some. At least she gave me the money for hers. Sure enough, she's patiently waiting where I'd left her. I guess she was planning on making the day an event rather than a simple shopping trip. Aw, she's happy! I call out to her and slowly place the vanilla cone in her outstretched hands, being careful to make sure she has a good hold of it before letting go. At least her tastes are fairly normal. I was worried she'd ask for some weird flavor when she first asked. What are you... Wait, what? What weird flavor? What weird flavor? What is there a weird flavor of ice cream that's just at normal ice cream shops? I mean, like sherbet? Or like cookie dough? Cookie dough and sherbet are good. I love them. Here's the change. It's okay, keep it. I moved to protest, but realized the futility of doing so over such a small amount. I slipped the coins into my pocket, supplementing my meager allowance ever so slightly. Yeah, you big ballin' with that 25 cents. Lily shows no signs of wanting to get up, so I take a seat beside her and start eating my own ice cream. The summer weather's nice. Hopefully it will hold out for a while. You too? I'm beginning to think I'm the only person who prefers winter. I contemplate her statement for a long moment. Yeah, I think you might be. Wow, you gotta put her on blast like that. It draws the intended reaction. She's cute when she's pouting. Still, I can't really imagine what's so good about winter. You can't go out without bundling up and you still freeze anyway. I used to live further north where there'd be plenty of snow to play in, so it's a little nostalgic. I don't like the heat very much either. At least you can wear a skirt, so don't complain about that. Hisao, you can wear a skirt if you want to, you're just a pussy. And you won't do it. You're a coward. She gives an amused giggle as we both get back to finishing off our already melting cones. I idly sit and watch the crowds going by as we eat, hatching bits and pieces of conversation. Looking to Lily, I see her dutifully licking her ice cream from the top down, blissfully unaware of the fact that it's beginning to melt. It's melting. Where? Down a bit? She lowers her mouth from the top of the cone, but has no idea of exactly where the ice cream is dripping. What follows is a game of guiding her left and right until she finally finds it. To any onlooker, it must seem absolutely bizarre. A girl with her eyes closed turning her cone over and over as the guy next to her gives instructions. A strange variant of childhood blindfold games, maybe. What? In good time, we finally finish our treats and while away the time conversing casually. Caught mid-sentence, Lily perks her head in her trademark manner. It's an unmistakable sign that something's caught her attention. Ah. What is it? Is Akira somewhere over there? I think I heard her. I raise an eyebrow as I look in the direction she's facing, somewhat doubtful of her ability to pick out Akira's lone voice in the den. Sure enough, though, a blonde girl in a suit can be seen through the tiny gaps between people walking every which way. I raise a hand and wave, trying to catch her attention. Sato! Hey, Sato! She stops in her tracks and looks towards me, evidently noticing my call. As she does, I notice someone walking beside her. I can't get a good look at whoever it is, though, before the two begin walking towards where we are. As they reach us, Lily and I stand and dust ourselves off. Akira! Hey, you two! She nods towards me, a gesture which I quickly return. My gaze shifts towards the young girl next to her and our eyes meet. As they do, Akira plops a hand onto her head, a move which doesn't seem to faze her. I don't believe we've met. I'm Hideaki. Pleased to meet you, Hisao. A guy's name? Huh. I just dodged a bullet there. He bows, somewhat restrained by Akira's hand being on his head. Oh. Hideaki's here too? Are you well? Akira's been taking very good care of me, thank you. Akira grins as if to affirm the point and rubs his head hard, dragging it around in a circular motion. His dreary face during this is somewhat amusing. Uncle's out on business again, so I'm taking him around town for today. I'd have preferred to be spending the day on a date with my boyfriend, but... Hideaki gives a cough to try and redirect Akira's thoughts. As he does so, though, I find mine wondering, they're related? And further, as first cousins? I thought that explains why she's taking care. I suppose that explains why she's taking care of him, though. Come to think of it, Hideaki, how did you know my name? Akira told me, being a Yamaku student. I suppose you're disabled in some way. Wow! Just coming out right out with it. Not everyone in Yamaku's disabled. Which I only learned a handful of days ago. I give silent thanks to Shizune and Misha for their stream of information about how the school works. Because of them, I found out that since the school will accept practically anybody suffering from non-mental disabilities, it doesn't discriminate against healthy people either. It seems unlikely that many in good health would enroll there, though. While the standard of education is pretty high, it's extremely isolated and very much focused on helping disabled students. You're dodging the question! Damn, he's sharp. Before I can say another word, though, he decides to take a stab at it himself. If I were to call it myself, your heart? Akira looks mildly curiously at me. Her interest piqued as well. That sure was a lucky guess. How did you... You showed no missing limbs or deformities, so external disabilities are out. Considering the lack of any strange mannerisms, it's also unlikely that you'd have any mental disability. But Yamaku doesn't take mentally disabled students. I know. Leaving that aside, the only possibility left is that of internal disabilities. I didn't know which one you might bear, so I guessed. Correctly, as it turns out, and your reaction confirmed my guess. More than a little bemused, I look at Akira. She grins and shrugs, obviously taking some enjoyment out of her partner's deductions. He's sharp, yes, but more than a little unsympathetic. Logical, but lacking in tact. His attitude reminds me of Shizune in a way, as do his looks. May I ask why you're staring at me? Surely I'm not that unusual a specimen. Does he not know how unusual he looks? I could overlook the spats and clothing as just being coincidental, but the ribbon in his hair really is too much. This is entirely beside the point, though. Sorry, just remind me of someone. Akira gives him a sharp jab with her elbow. Told you you're not that much different from her. He coughs into his hand to try to maintain an upright and serious demeanor. I see you've met my sister, then. Perhaps my full name might help you. I am Hideaki Hakamichi. You're probably thinking of my sister, Shizune Hakamichi. Oh, so he's Shizune's brother. Huh. Wait, they're related then. Hold on. Lily and Shizune are like cousins. Oh. That's weird. Wait a minute. If Hideaki is the son of Akira's uncle and Shizune is his sister, then that means Lily and Shizune's fathers are brothers-in-law. Therefore, Lily and Shizune are first cousins? Lily groans in an uncharacteristically unrestrained manner. The reaction earns an unamused smirk from her sister. The enmity between the two just took on another meaning. I had thought it simply a matter of difficulty of communication between the two, but a family feud makes things much more complicated. Yeah. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. Sure you can. She gives a half-hearted shrug. She mustn't give much weight to the two's conflict as I do. Well, that's how it is. What are you two up to anyway on this fine day? We're shopping for Hanako's birthday present. Oh. We're shopping for Hanako's birthday present. The day will be coming up soon, so this is the last chance we'll have before school starts again for the week. Akira makes a strange face as if Lily just said that the sky wasn't blue and the clouds not white. Isn't her birthday on the 10th next month? Yes. Why? Is something wrong? Akira's face seems to collapse. It's an utterly unbefitting expression for someone so rowdy and headstrong. The folks didn't call you yet? As Lily shakes her head cluelessly, I look at Hideaki to see if he knows anything about this. A simple shrug is his only answer. For a moment, Akira ponders what to do before smiling once again. The fact that she can hide her emotions so quickly and effectively is unsettling. Hey, Shorty, sorry, but could you hang with Hisao for a while? He nods and waves her off, Akira placing an arm on Lily's shoulder as she guides her away and out of earshot. And so I'm alone with Shorty. Shoddy. So, nice weather, isn't it?
It seems so.
I guess they dumped us.
Indeed.
What a farcical attempt at small talk. I've got no idea how to talk to this guy, and his robotic responses aren't helping. Blood and a stone come to mind. What does that mean? Without another word, he begins to rock on his feet in an obvious gesture of boredom with this discussion. He really is like a little kid despite his serious demeanor. He is a little kid. He is not like he is. Suspecting the conversation over, I decide to accomplish what I came here to do in the first place. I'm going to go search for a present. Coming?
Not much else to do.
In a little while, we come to a small shop beside a convenience store. For once, the store windows aren't filled with electronics and computer games, but dolls, stuffed bears, and all manners of wood-crafted oddities. Othello's Antiques? An antique store? Well, if there's anything in this town that'd suit Hanako, I guess it'd be here. I reach for an old-looking door handle, but pull back at the last minute as I realize my companion's gone adrift. Not coming in?
I'll be in the newsstand for a while. Don't mind me.
His voice makes it painfully clear he has zero interest in what's in the store, and that he doesn't feel obligated to follow me. As he wanders off without another word, I push the thick wooden door and enter the store, a bell above me ringing out. You can't just leave children by themselves in the city. They're stupid. He's gonna get abducted. Sorry. I had a coughing fit. The musty smell of old books and wooden shelves is distinctly anachronistic. I look to the counter beside the door. The graying man behind it sits there silently, reading a tattered book. He certainly fits the look of the place. Slowly wandering through the aisles, the person I'm reminded of as I inspect each handcrafted or imported oddity in turn isn't Hanako. Crouching down, I examine the ancient oak desk inside the shop window. At least $30. All varying in size and make, the only similarity between them is the long Victorian dresses they wear. I turn the price tag of one that looks to be about waist height. It's not in my price bracket at all. I do the same to each of them, getting more and more depressed as they get smaller and smaller in size. That is until I reach the very smallest one. It's affordable, yet of quality make, and with long auburn hair and a little blue dress. I decide that it's the kind of present Hanako would appreciate, pretty looking and far from gaudy. After I carefully pick it up, I decide to keep looking around the store. I'm not sure whether it's because I like the atmosphere or out of simple curiosity. Peeking around the corner before I go to the next aisle, I see that the shelves in this one are stocked with wooden toys, from toy cars to intricate automatons. Tucked behind a line of nutcrackers, I notice a little plain wooden box. It feels surprisingly light as I pick it up with my free hand. Oh, it's a music box. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm gonna cry. The lid only needs the smallest movement to pop open, the little metal drum inside beginning to rotate immediately. For seconds on end, I simply stand there listening to the palm-sized melody. I have a little tiny music box that plays Beautiful Dreamer, but it's broken and it made me really upset. This makes me sad. I don't like my broken music box. I still have it even though it's broken for sentimental reasons. As it plays, I take the tiny price tag in my fingers and bring it to my face, the minuscule cursive writing taking some effort to read. It's affordable, sort of. Click. Grimacing slightly, I close the lid and make my way to the counter with doll and music box in hand. When I lay the two on the counter, the man behind it sits up and takes stock of them. He doesn't hide very well his surprise at someone my age buying them. It's painful, but I hand over the money for the two and leave the store with a small opaque bag in hand. Hideaki, being there, takes me by surprise. Oh, hi. I thought you'd be at the newsstand.
Akira gave me a call. She's waiting for us at the fountain with Lily.
At least that solves the issue of trying to find them again. We head back to the fountain. Hideaki's immaculate posture and presentation, despite his appearance, makes for a strange contrast even as we walk. Lily and Akira stand there waiting for us, their faces hard to read. Hey, you ready to go, shorty? Shoddy? Hideaki's mood seems to improve as he rejoins her. See ya, Lily. Isao. Tell Hanako I said happy birthday. We will. Bye.
Goodbye, Akira.
And with that, the two disappear into the fracas of the afternoon city crowd. Turning to Lily, I notice she's carrying a small bag. It's now that I realize why her disposition felt different from before. While Lily's typically the type to wear her emotions on her sleeve, her expression and tone are clouded and difficult to read. It's more than a little off-putting, but given the effort she's making to hide her emotions, I doubt she wants to be cornered on why she's feeling this way. Already bought Hanako a present?
Yes, have you?
Yeah.
Shall we head back to the bus stop then?
Okay, there should be a bus back to Yamaku pretty soon. And with that, we begin to walk. It feels strange compared to before. Lily's hand on my forearm feels unusually tense, and the whole atmosphere is extraordinarily awkward. The silence continues for a long while. I really don't like seeing her like this.
Hanako's birthday party is going to have to be held earlier. Is the 4th going to be alright for you?
I have no other possible obligations anyway, so I reflexively nod. Only afterwards do I remember that doing so is pointless, so quickly answer so by speech. She tries to collect herself, a task that looks almost pitiable in how plain it is to see how distant her thoughts are.
Sorry, Hisao. You said the bus would be coming soon, right?
That's right. But now that she says that, I have an idea. Actually, do you have anything due later today?
I don't believe so. Why do you ask?
This is the point where I'd normally take your hand and rush you somewhere, but even without that, you'll have to trust me, okay? I take her hand and gently lead her on, her distant face replaced by one of mild surprise and curiosity. Where are we going? As the waitress sets a cup of tea and cup of coffee that I'd ordered onto the table, I thank her before she takes her leave. Truth be told, I really lucked out in finding this cafe. I didn't really know where I was going, rather I was just looking for any cafe that looked relatively nice. Having managed to recover a little, Lily tentatively sips at her cup as I take a long gulp of the coffee in front of me. As I hoped, her face lights up as she recognizes what flavor it is.
Ah, this is wonderful. Hisao, how did you know this was?
I asked for French vanilla black tea, hedging my bets that it would be her favorite flavor, or at least one she liked. While I don't really know much about tea, it sounded like one she might appreciate. On the basis of her liking vanilla ice cream, a tea connoisseur I'm definitely not. Makes sense. I was like, where was the hint here? It was a lucky guess. You really like tea, don't you? She puts her teacup down and gives a tiny nod, that familiar small smile thankfully perched on her face once again.
Drinking tea is calming, I think.
With the amount you drink, are you sure you're not addicted to it? Caffeine addiction's pretty common nowadays.
Did I ever say I wasn't?
She lets out a giggle as my head drops. We all have our vices, I suppose, and there are worse things to be addicted to. French vanilla black tea, huh? I'll have to remember that. For a while we both silently drink. It's comforting to have someone like her nearby in such new surroundings, even if it's just the two of us sitting in silence. I begin to wonder if this feeling is the same for her until she sets down her cup.
Hisao, do you mind if I ask you a slightly odd question?
That depends on the question, I guess.
I was wondering, what your favorite color is? Everyone has one after all.
I almost replied before realizing what the seemingly mundane question is actually quite strange. My favorite color, but... She gives a pouting look, wanting me to answer anyway. While the answer seems unavoidably wasted on her, there isn't any harm in giving it. I've always had a thing for green. I'd say that's my favorite.
Green, is it? What things do you think of when contemplating that color?
I suppose grass fields and trees in summer, the army as well, with camouflage.
Men always seem to like the military. But that sounds like a nice color. A very nice color.
She nods her head a little, as if approving of the choice. Considering how foreign the concept of color is to her mind, labeling it by association seems reasonable enough. If everyone has a favorite color, then what's yours?
White. I'm told that's the color of snow and of ice cream.
You're no better than me, then. If you only like that color because of a favorite food, I guess white is nice too, though. And speaking of colors, it'll be getting dark soon. Let me help you up. Lily offers her hand, which I take in mine to help her level her up from her seat at the table. Its softness compared to mine takes me off guard, and I'm not really used to such casual contact. It doesn't seem to bother her at all, though. While it seems obvious why, it feels like just one more ladylike aspect of her.
So prim, so proper. Lily.
As her hand moves to her pockets, I cut her off. Don't worry, I'll pay for this.
Oh, thank you, Hisao.
She gives an earnest smile at the gesture, a word much greater than that of her words. By the time we step off the bus, it's well and truly dark. I mean, she don't know the difference. We make our way up the hill in silence, both of us behaving a little awkwardly, probably because of the day's events. While I'm still concerned over Lily's withdrawn nature after meeting with her sister, the fact I managed to cheer her up even slightly feels like a personal victory. But it feels like the air between us has changed. Maybe it's only a bit, but it's something I don't think either of us realized before.
That was a date, wasn't it?
It was. That doesn't elude either of us, the question's answer being so self-evident as to be rhetorical. Awkward as it may be, I don't think this feeling is bad. In fact, quite the opposite. I don't know what it is. I certainly can't be sure, but it feels like something a little more than friendship. Understanding? Empathy? Searching for words to adequately describe it is difficult, nonetheless. Would you like to do this again sometime, Lily? Without shopping for presents? The tentative question is met with the same look from Lily as before. Her pale skin makes the rosy tint of her cheeks just slightly more noticeable and her face, though still pointed to the street ahead of her, lowers just a little.
Okay.
Okay. I guess that's a good enough answer. I just thought it was funny.
So, we went on a date with Lily, and she received some news. If it is the same as Hanako's route, I am assuming that the news that she receives is that her aunt is sicky. If that is consistent, I am not sure. We also learned that Lily and Shizune are cousins. That's very interesting. And with that, we will leave this episode off here. Got all the juicy gossips. And I will see everyone in the next video. Bye!